And if you'd like to text me that, I can read it for you. My number is on the first page, the top of the first page there in the order of service, starting with 310. Sacrifice and hard work. We are so grateful for this and commit together to ensure the funds we gather collectively do a greater good for ourselves and our world than they could have done alone. May there be an offering to sustain and grow the life and mission of this congregation. May we give in love and in hope.
Oh, good. This is one I'm sure most of you know, so feel free to sing along. The words aren't in there, but maybe they're in your head. How many roads must a man walk down before you can call him a man? How many seas must a white dove sail before she sleeps in the sand? Yes, and how many times must the cannonballs fly before they're forever banned? Everyone now, the answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. Yes, and how many years must a mountain exist before it's washed to the sea? Yes, and how many years can people exist before they're allowed to be free? Yes, and how many times must people turn their heads and pretend that they just don't see? Everyone, the answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. Yes, and how many times must people look up before they can see the sky. Yes, and how many ears must one person have before they can hear people cry? Yes, and how many deaths will it take till they know that too many people have died? What's the answer? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. One more time. The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind.
All right, good job, everybody. All right, and I have Hannah's introduction here. All right. Our speaker today, Hannah Donigan, has been a member of UUCF for over 20 years and has served in many areas, including speaking at Sunday services. In 2002, she became a humanist minister celebrant with the American Humanist Association after attending sessions in Class 10 of the Humanist Institute in Manhattan 3 times a year for 3 years. She was inspired by the late Sherwin Wine, a founder of the Institute, plus the Reverend Suzanne Paul, who had been a member of Class 1. Hannah has officiated at 22 weddings and 3 memorial services in various parts of southeastern Michigan. Hannah and Don celebrated 63 years of marriage on June 14th. They lived 61 years in an 1848 house in Commerce Village where they raised 4 offspring who are in their 50s. There are 6 grandchildren. They live independently in the Shearwater apartment home complex in Commerce Township. And they are grateful to have lived in Europe at one time and have been able to travel worldwide and are grateful for each day. Here's Hannah.
I'm going to try it just like this. Can you hear me? Okay. I welcome everybody, and I see some good friends here and some relatives. I welcome, of course, my husband and 2 daughters, and I see David and from Ann Arbor, and any other guests that's here, welcome. And I think you will enjoy the music and the sayings that we go through together, and I hope you'll enjoy what I'm about to say. I'm going to surprise myself, and I did surprise myself when I began to write this, and I'll probably surprise many of you. I'm going to begin with the name Tucker Swanson McNear Carlson. Yes, Tucker is an heir to the Swanson TV dinners. He, of the Alternative Facts channel, criticizes public education regarding American history by elected school boards. Currently, CTR is not being taught outside of graduate and law schools. Let's clear the minds now of Fox News truth deniers. I prefer to believe Callie Holloway's view on race. She wrote an article in a recent Nation magazine, and she said, instead of dealing with racism, white Americans locate the issue with black people themselves. Our country's promised racial reckoning is turning out to be a white lie. I do admire and support the goals of the Southern Poverty Law Center for its stand against 838 active hate groups, which have begun in the last 4 years. Yes, 838. There is a clear and present danger. Racial terror and voter suppression are the 2 pillars of white suppression. Remember the word pillars. There is rampant violence. QAnon believers are gaining support from Americans living in fantasy land. There is a book that I recommend by Kurt Anderson with that title, Fantasyland. In 1994, a young writer, Isabel Wilkerson, who was a writer in the Chicago Bureau of the New York Times, she won a Pulitzer Prize in journalism. Later, she wrote a bestseller nonfiction book titled The Warmth of Other Suns, which traced the Black migration in the US from the South to the North. I intend to read that someday because I am really taken by Wilkerson and her writing. Last year, Wilkerson published Caste, The Origin of Our Discontents, for which she did impressive research with affection for her subjects and other stories in the book. She humanizes history. The research was so detailed and long that Ann Ford and I compared it to parts of the book to reading a boring college textbook. Perhaps some of you here would agree with that. However, she recounts in her details about how other attempts by former presidents have tried to deal with race. Of course, the election of Barack Obama was pivotal. I recall back in 2010 attending a meeting of Democrats at a West Bloomfield High School auditorium. A young man, Gary Peters, was giving a detailed speech about a proposed health care plan. A group from Waterford nearby was unruly, rude, and attacked the speaker. It was appalling. And I realize now that was the beginning of Tea Party. By the way, later, if you want to look on the, up here, I have a picture of Barack Obama on the Time magazine, and I also have the 838, the map of those health hate groups. Anyway, I quote other Black thinkers regarding race before I explain Wilkerson's views on race and caste. Nearly 120 years ago, in the book called The Souls of Black Folk, W.E.B. Du Bois addressed the question that is almost never posed to Black folks, but it's always embedded in the national understanding of race. The question is, how does it feel to be a problem? It remains the wrong question. Later, Ashley Montagu, a French psychologist, and as well as a public intellectual in the 1950s and 60s, made popular the study of race and gender and their relationship to politics and development. His definition of caste was a fixed ranking of human value, a human invention, social construction, not biological. Some persons here may have read James Baldwin's books, Black Like Me or The Fire Next Time, in the 1960s, as I did. He wrote, "What white parents, why they're angry against integration is they do not know what they are afraid of, but they know they are afraid of something, and they are so frightened that they are out of their minds." Now to the theme of the speech. Hope you're still with me. This is a speech about Isabel Wilkerson's bestseller, Caste, The Origins of Our Discontent. It appears to me that the author was aware of the writings and ideas of W.E.B. Du Bois and Ashley Montagu. And her ideas about caste includes a rigid hierarchy of human rankings, a manifestation of something deeper, underlying and predating racism, and holding white supremacy in place. It is a hidden system of social domination, a caste structure that uses neutral human differences, skin color among them, as the basis for ranking human value. Ms. Wilkinson chooses to examine caste rather than race. The book is not about social history or science, but about structural power, a two-tiered caste system, dominant or white, and subordinate or non-white, which originated in India. The USA followed this system, which the Third Reich in Germany copied. I found the 8 pillars of caste fascinating as well as bothersome. Here is the list. Pillar 1, divine will and the laws of nature. 2, heritability. In India, based on the father's status. In the US, slave owners claimed children of black women. Endogamy and the control of marriage. Endogamy was a new word for me. I'm always trying to learn new words. And it means the custom of marrying only within the limits of a local community, clan, or tribe. Number 4 pillar, purity versus pollution. Stay in your own caste. Number 5, occupational hierarchy, menial duties, the drudgery of life due to lack of intelligence and lack of lower skills. 2 categories of occupations, agriculture and domestic or personal service, that was okay. But there were few white-collar jobs. Could be in entertainment and menial comics, and we're reminiscent of mythological court jester. But in today's world, Black Americans can and do excel in sports and entertainment. They receive the accolades they earn. Recently, Allison Felix became the most decorated athlete ever with her 11th Olympia medal, and we say hooray to that. Pillar number 6, dehumanization plus stigma. I wonder if evil can be defined. I wrote a poem quite a long ago after 9/11 and tried to deal with the word evil, but it's very difficult to do that. But I'm wondering if evil can be defined as actions outside of the norms of humanity, so that any action against persons is seen as reasonable. Details of experimentations and surgeries brought tears to my eyes in this book as I was reading. The next one, 7, terror as enforcement, cruelty as a means of control. And we remember learning about that, not only in our history, we should have, and also in the history of Germany. And I think we can understand what that means. Pillar 8, inherent superiority versus inherent inferiority. From a historian of class, I quote, "The laws and protocols of caste kept Black people apart and low. The greater the chasm, the easier to distance and degrade. The easier to justify any injustice or pravity." A famous American scholar of caste described caste, the human meaning of caste for those who live it is power and vulnerability, privilege and oppression, honor and degradation, plenty and want, reward and deprivation, security and anxiety. A description of caste which fails to convey all this expert on, or his viewpoint, was a travesty, end quote. There are risks involved for Isabel Wilkinson in compressing into a single frame a 1,000-year-old caste structure in India and America's 400-year-old system. She's been criticized for this by some critics. One critic's review is worth remembering, and I like this one. This is a painfully resonant book, one that could not have come at a more urgent time. A brief time ago, Don and I attended a play written by Jeff Daniels at his Purple Rose Theater. Isabel Wilkinson's words were printed at the top of the playbill. We are the heirs to whatever is right or wrong. We did not erect the uneven pillars or joists, but they are ours to deal with now. I personally will continue to receive and believe fact-based news from Rachel Maddow, as well as other reality-based true patriots. Thank you. And thank you to our two soloists, the Petries, and to Diana for her lovely music, as always. And thank you for being here.
Yeah, I'll get back to that. Okay. I apologize, I skipped over something, and we don't want to miss the wonderful meditation music, of course. Diana's prepared for us. So I'll read the meditation. Wiser Today by Deb Cannon. I have made mistakes, and some I have even learned from. I am wiser today than I was yesterday, and hopefully tomorrow I will be better informed. May I speak from my learning and not from my habit. If I speak from my habit, may I interrupt my words to start again. If I don't know, may I be silent and listen. Thank you, Diana. And we'll move on to our hymn, Once to Every Soul and Nation. Please rise as you're willing and able, and I'll make sure to sing these words this time. Once to every soul in the nation comes the moment to decide in the strife of truth with falsehood for the good or evil side. Then to stand with truth is noble when we share its wretched crust. Ere that cause bring fame and profit, and 'tis prosperous to be just. Though the cause of evil prosper, 'tis truth alone is strong. Through its portion be the scaffold, and upon the throne be wrong. Then it is brave and brave one chooses, while the cowards stand aside, till the multitude make virtue of the faith they have denied. All right. And our closing words today is from The Lifelong Goal by David Hicks McPherson. To wish for compassion, to pray for courage, to experience doubt, to bear sorrow, to strive for sureness, all these are qualities for which each of us should be grateful. But to feel a genuine fellowship for the whole human family, to act so that our empathy is evident wherever we go, that's the object. That's the lifelong goal.